Hey, we're back with our 3 mistakes series. It's where I go through each faction in the game and just offer 3 tips for things I see that I personally view as mistakes in a lot of our new player tournaments and new player events. And since I saw them among a bunch of people consistently, I thought I would just offer some suggestions on that. And I forgot that that's how this was going to start. So allow me one moment to reload that. But yeah. Yep. So we're on Chaos Dwarves today. I have 3 things I want to say from what I've seen from new player, or one of these I've seen from intermediate tournaments, and I just really don't think it's correct. So I brought myself 2 Chaos Dwarf Lords. We have the Lore of Hashut, Ash Storm, and then we have a Lore of Fire with Burning Head. I brought 4 Infernal Guard Fireglaives just to prove a point, but a combo I see a lot of people pulling off that isn't terrible, I think it's just worse than the options you have, is Ash Storm. 20% weakness to fire damage for 32 seconds. Okay, cool. So we have 4 Infernal Guard Fireglaives. I'm going to have 2 of them fire at this Marauder champion, 2 of them fire at this Marauder champion. We will use Ash Storm to affect one of them, so this Marauder champion has 20% weakness to fire. So for the duration of a 32-second shootout... Oh, 1 second. There we go. It's worn off. You've done about 1,300 extra damage over the Marauder champion that was not affected. So you paid 8 Winds of Magic to get 1,300 damage on an elite infantry unit being shot by these guys. Now, I guess I shouldn't bring up the value because people will be like, well, don't use it on shielded heavy infantry. Use it on like a big lord or something. Sure, true, I guess. Okay, I won't point that out, but you do get a bit more damage. Largely why I think this is a mistake is because you can just get that spell for free. Instead of paying to bring Ash Storm and then casting it on a cooldown and paying 8 Winds of Magic to get 20% fire weakness, you could just use the Kindle Flame passive. Global 20% fire weakness for 15 seconds whenever you cast a spell. The duration is halved, but it's global. So any Chaos Dwarf you have anywhere is going to do 20% more damage for like your Fireglaves, maybe Blunderbusses, maybe your Hobgoblin Wolfrider Archers, maybe your Kadai Fireborn, maybe your Lord himself. Everything you have that does fire damage on the entire map is going to do 20% more rather than just in a tiny circle. And you don't pay extra Winds of Magic for that. It's a passive you get for casting other spells in the Lore of Fire. Now, you could cast a lot of spells. You could cast Fireball, which is cheap, over and over and over again. And the argument could be that the global half duration is as good or better than a local double duration, right? But that's not the conversation I'm having because this is free. The problem is you can just bring like Burning Head or Flamestorm or other big damage spells and use them on whatever you're shooting, applying a leadership debuff, applying a ton of damage, and still getting that extra fire damage out. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to just cast Burning Head on these Marauder champions. And in the time that Kindle Flame goes... There. The fire debuff is worn off. So we got, depending on which Marauder champion you deal, because the Burning Head went through these guys, then you can see it curved. So it came out. So it didn't fully hit these guys. We have very similar damage in half the time. So if you just want to compare the time that the debuff was up, we have very similar health bars in half the time. Or if you want to compare the total amount of time, I need... there-ish. So in the total amount of time, you did more damage just casting Burning Head down the line. I mean, it's 2 Winds of Magic more to undercast Burning Head for a global buff, and then of course you could be trying to route like a light armored frontline. For this test, cards on the table, I didn't overcast Burning Head because they're armored infantry, so I wanted the increased damage. So sure, I did spend 16 Winds of Magic. It was double. True. But with the global concept, it's like you're supporting every fight at once, so I do think it's worth it to pay a little more. And I could have just undercasted Burning Head if these weren't Marauder champions, but they are more heavily armored. Anyway, I generally think that's more useful for you than to do a little more damage to one Marauder champion. You could do more damage to the whole map and hit these guys with a different spell. Just stop taking Ash Storm, okay? I'll stop rambling, but stop taking Ash Storm. Just take Kindle Flame passive. It's the same. Easier to apply. For number 2 on this list, I've actually given this advice before, but people still refuse to take it for some reason. In our worst regiments of renown video, the Infernal Ironsworn ROR came up, and they have gotten buffed since then, which is great. They're still one of the worst regiments of renown in the game, and that is because mistake number 2 is paying more for the Infernal Ironsworn is flat out a mistake, and you shouldn't do it. Like, one of the reasons they're the worst regiment of renown in the game is because their base unit is just better than them, so I don't know what you're doing. To get the Immortals, like we said in the Regiment of Renown video, before the buffs, fair, but you lose silver shields, you lose the missile blasting charge things for like extra stats and dual weapon stuff, like 64 melee defense compared to 60 melee defense. They're both pretty tanky, but like, people take Infernal Ironsworn not for their stats, they take them for their crazy blasting charges. So I have some Harganeth Executioners here, and Infernal Ironsworn with their non-armor piercing blasting charges. These blasting charges could do even more damage, but 100 armor Harganeth Executioners, they'll totally be fine against the Infernal Ironsworn. Oh shit. One volley took out half their HP. And guess what? There's another volley coming. Oh shit. It like flat out killed him. And guess what? There's a couple more grenades. Oh, the Immortals just hit the front line now. These Harganeth Executioners are already freaking dead by the time you got here. That's insane. And these guys are tankier to ranged fire on the advance because they're silver shields, and they'll hold longer to their higher melee defense. The Immortals are just like, yeah, you have better melee combatants, but why did you give up grenades? The whole reason to take this unit, it's baffling. Like, their stat increases that CA gave them are fine. You can see they're whooping the shit out of these Harganeth Executioners, so good for you. It's something, but you still have to get into melee with these guys and take potential damage back when you could have just killed them before the fight even started. So here we're getting the Harganeth Executioners to rout. I just want to see the final value. There we go. Let's take a gander, shall we? Oh, crap. I hate that. 1 second. I got to edit it. There, let's try this again. Okay. So these Infernal Ironsworn, 850, 950 value. These guys, 990, 1,100. That's great. Both Harganeth Executioners ended up routing, so it's fine. One Harganeth Executioner fighting an Immortal got 400 value. The other one got 500. Oh, and these ones got almost 0 each. Damn. Sure wish I had saved money and just got the better unit. Dude, just don't take the Immortals. Just take the regular Infernal Ironsworn. They're so freaking good. The final mistake I see people making is using or forgetting to use more power overall is bad, but also using it for the acceleration. Some people pop it as soon as the game starts to get an extra burst of speed because that acceleration. The acceleration is a bait. What you want out of it is the 50% mass. Speed's fine, acceleration's fine, but that's not what you should pop it for. So you should wait until you're on the charge and pop it just before the charge because you want it for as long as possible while you're in combat. You want that extra mass. For infantry, it's not as important because Skullcrackers and Iron Demons and all of the Chaos Dwarf Chariots are already pretty insane at pushing through infantry, but it doesn't hurt, right? It doesn't hurt if you get stopped in infantry to have that extra mass to get going again, but the big reason to have it is the difference in how you deal with cavalry. Armor-piercing cavalry is one of the only things your Skullcrackers actually feel, so the two on the right have more power procced, the other two do not. Again, this is to showcase if the player forgets that these units have this ability, or they used it way back here to get their acceleration, but I wanted everything to hit around the same time, so I waited. So look at this guy motor straight through these with his extra mass. He trucked through them. He didn't stop at all. The other one without the extra mass has stopped short. So he is now stuck in the cold ones, while the other one can pull free after getting all that momentum. And you can see the one with the more mass did get through the Source Warriors a little faster than the other Skullcracker, but that's not really the point. They both got through. They both didn't really take any damage. This guy's still stuck. That's a big problem. And now if he procs it, it'll help him get out of here for sure. He should proc it, right? But he has so many cold ones that have now clustered up around him that he has to push through a lot more of them, so it takes him much, much longer to get out of here. So, yeah, you should just remember to use it. Here I have this one pop more power and go through the same source to see if there's extra damage, but it's kind of a wasted test because he knocked him out of the way for the other one, but you got the main point on the big charge. Yeah, both got through the infantry. The one with the more power got through slightly quicker, but it is very important for when you're dealing with cavalry for your skullcrackers to just choo-choo their way through. I mean, you can see it, the sizable chunk in the one that got surrounded, and all three of the other ones have what look to be full health bars. Hope these tips helped. We'll get some more Chaos Dwarf wins.
Subscribe, yes, yes.